Whoa, look at who it is. Mike and Mind, Hudson Hot, Scotty Blaisdell, Alan Wagner, LMFT. Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Hello, Hudson.
I I am doing a lot better. By the way, LMFT, licensed marriage and family
Marriage.
therapist,
Yes.
Correct.
right?
Yep.
I just sometimes you just throw that out without any explanation. It's not something I'm that familiar with, but I have
Right.
since
You know
knowing
what's funny
Alan.
is I actually didn't know what it was either when he told
Yeah.
me his email, Alan Wagner, LMFT at gmail.com, in case you want to book him. But good luck with that. He's
I thought
busy.
it was some kid's slang, like one of these LOL YOLO things.
YOLO. YOLO.
No,
Yeah.
it's funny because under psychotherapist, there's probably like 4 or 5 different titles you could have. And so yeah, but licensed marriage and family therapist is one of them. And that's me.
That's Alan.
Yeah.
That's
That's
Alan.
me.
So how you doing, Scotty? We didn't get a chance to catch up because it was Memorial Day and it was a nice
Yeah.
long weekend, and we were going to be honoring. We were going to be doing a podcast, so we skipped it. And did you do anything nice over the weekend?
I've been sick and you can get sick these days. This may be shocking news, but it doesn't have a fancy title like COVID or
Oh
flu
no.
or whatever, strep throat. No, you just get sick.
Yeah.
So I've been down and you'll love this story, Hudson. I got a call from a friend checking on me. He suggested I try a hot toddy.
A hot toddy. That's like
Now,
alcohol and
yeah, it's like whiskey and lemon and honey and
yep.
you
Hmm.
know, I'm not the drinker guy,
I know
right?
you're not.
So,
Yes. So did you do
so
it?
I run to a store. I tell my wife I'm gonna go get some whiskey, and this store didn't have whiskey. The store was Walmart,
Hmm.
and I I didn't think about the fact that Walmart wouldn't have whiskey. I didn't because I don't know alcohols, so I don't know the
Right?
difference between wines and whatever. But apparently it's a hard liquor. So then I had to find a liquor store.
An
Yeah.
ABC. Okay, I know all about this. I
Yes,
always come to, it's the weirdest thing ever.
It makes
because
no
in
sense.
Hawaii, ABC is a completely different store
Right.
than it is here, which is basically hard liquors and spirits and all that.
Yep.
So yeah, I went to and here's my bag. You'll appreciate the
With
fact that
your
I
liquor in it. No way. Did you take a swig?
this
Stop
is
it.
a
In a
look at
brown
this.
bag.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
Jack
holding it up.
Daniels?
No, it is the original Joaquin's Rock and Rye with choice fruits. Because I went in and the guy could tell I wasn't familiar. I'm just kind of looking around, just so
Like a deer in
confused.
headlights. Yeah.
And he said, can I help you out there, you son? And
Yeah.
so I told him I was looking to make a hot toddy, and he goes, I got you. And he just walks me to this one area, drops down, brings this out, and says, this is all you need. I said, so what do I put in it? He goes, no, everything's in it. So you just take about this much, a little dabble, do you, and go to bed.
Yeah. Did you find that it helped? I mean, I
It
use
did.
this technique all the time.
I got a good nap, and
Yep.
actually, it tasted kind of sweet. It was a little
Yeah.
burny.
Yeah.
I'm
It
not familiar.
burns if you're just doing like a straight up, like if there's
Yeah,
nothing in it, it's a burny thing.
yeah. But if you, I mean, obviously, it tasted good, which could be a problem for me because I have an addictive personality, and if I like
Yes.
something, I really go for whatever,
That's right. That's why
which
he's
can be,
never been to the strip club.
yeah, it could be good or bad for me when you're
Because
addicted.
he become obsessed, blowing all the money, the whole
Right.
retirement at strip clubs to, Karen and Jessica, you become a regular and you're broke.
Right.
True. It's so
So
true.
feeling better. I bet your weekend was better than mine.
I don't, well, we went to see Mission Impossible in
Yeah.
IMAX, which was
Okay.
really good.
Was Tom Cruise doing ridiculous stuff again?
Yeah, he
He was.
was.
Yeah. He's
I mean, you
awesome.
got to think about it. Like, look at that dude's age, right? Like, I don't know how old he is. He's got to be in his 60s and he does his own stunts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't like him as an individual. Like, I'm just saying, ever since he cheated, you know that I never forget. You know what I'm saying? So, anyone who's a
Right.
cheater, no, this is a true
I
story.
didn't know that Tom Cruise cheated on anybody.
Yeah.
I thought the reason people didn't like him was because he jumped on Ellen's couch or something.
Who did he cheat? I can't remember because I know he was with Nicole and then he went with the other,
Yeah, I
what's her
think it
name?
was
Girl from
Nicole.
Dawson's Creek, and then he was with.
I don't know, but I remember he did something.
I don't
Because
remember
I know
his.
you didn't like Brad Pitt
Yeah, that was
because
it. Brad Pitt was the cheater.
yeah,
Sorry, I've got them
Okay.
yeah.
confused.
Yeah, I
Okay.
know. Yeah, he's a
I
Scientologist.
think it was,
And he's
yeah,
a
I think it was
whole.
just Tom in general. You know what I mean? He's a little douchey. But I mean, it doesn't take away from the fact that he's a fantastic actor. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But yeah,
And,
Brad
and and
Pitt, I'm
by the way,
still not a fan
before
of.
you move on, you got to explain this to Alan because he's the psycho or the analyst. So if a person is a cheater, she doesn't want to support their product.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you know that everybody you watch hasn't done anything?
I
Because it's
don't.
just
You
not in
don't.
the public.
No,
Maybe,
exactly. You wouldn't, I mean, you wouldn't know. I mean, it wouldn't be in the public, but it's sad that we just almost just like threw Tom Cruise to the wolves when he didn't even cheat.
right. He wasn't even
So,
the cheater.
yeah,
So I have to
he's not a
retract
cheater.
that.
So
It was
retract
Brad Pitt.
that.
And thank God I have Scotty to remind me it was Brad that I didn't like anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't see his movie at the weekend box office, but I did hear Lilo and Stitch, Hawaii, Let's Go, was phenomenal. Huge numbers at the box office.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but yeah, I hear nothing but greatness. So
Yeah, I'm
good.
looking forward to seeing that.
Are we
Um,
really three grown-ups talking about Lilo and Stitch, or is this because
yeah,
we're going to take children to see this movie?
no, it's because we love it.
Okay, but here's honestly, I will not go to the movie theater. I will wait until it comes into my house. I just don't go to the movies anymore. I mean,
Yeah,
you went to the IMAX, which that kind of makes sense because it's a giant action movie and you're getting all the sound and all the
right.
visuals. But other than those kind of movies, I just wouldn't consider going right now.
I no, and
So
Alan will
expensive.
tell you, Alan loves movies. Like, as a matter of fact, prior to him getting into becoming a therapist, his passion is screenwriting, and he's an amazing writer. I mean, like, we just talked about this. He just wrote 3 books that hopefully will be getting out and published this Friday, maybe by Friday. We don't know. But that's his love, his movies. He even took a summer job. How many years did you work at the movie theater, Alan?
I worked at the movie theater United Artists probably for about 3 years, and it was just because if you show your pay stub, you get free tickets to any United Artists movie theater, and you can bring a bag and get free popcorn, and bring a cup and get free soda, and it was awesome. And I'd get movie posters, and no, I was a total movie nerd, and so
Yeah.
it was my dream as a kid to be a movie director.
And
So.
he got really close. He actually you wrote a couple of things.
Yeah, no, I mean, I got close on a TV show once that got optioned and nothing happened. So like everybody, it's a tale of
Yeah.
tragedy in the entertainment
Yeah.
world. But no, I mean, as a fan of movies, I really do dig it. I know what you're saying though, Scotty. That's exactly what I said to Hudson is that unless it's an event movie and you're going to see something like a big Marvel CGI movie or a big tentpole summer film like Mission Impossible, IMAX, 3D. I don't see any reason to go to the theater. You can just wait for streaming because it used to be like 6 months till it would be available, and now
And
it's
now it's
like,
so damn expensive.
yeah. I mean,
Dude,
if you can wait 3 weeks and see it on streaming, it's sad because I do like that audience experience, and especially for Mission Impossible, which was sold out. You could see how happy everybody was at the end of the movie and cheering, and I like when you see that audience reaction that reaffirms that it was a good movie in your head, and you're like, oh wow, everyone else agrees with me. It was a great movie.
I
So.
think that's one of the experiences that you don't get for at home is that group experience. You know,
yeah.
it's kind of like the old Rocky Horror Picture Show. It was all about the interactions.
That was my first movie that I would see religiously every
Yeah,
Friday night at midnight. And my dad took me. I was a little kid and I brought
yeah.
the toast, the water gun. I mean, let's do the time warp again. It was like my favorite damn movie. I saw it for so many years and I lived in New York City. So, I mean, I saw it like the legit way, like, you know what I
Oh,
mean? Like,
Yeah.
because it was like people were crazy obsessed.
well, I noticed that like in musicals are doing those sing-alongs sometimes that'll come out like a month or two after and it'll have like subtitles so that the audience can sing along. I think they were doing that to one of the ABBA. What was that ABBA movie that came out like a couple years ago? And they had also a sing-along version. But I think almost every musical, I
Yeah,
think
they did that with Wicked as well. That to
exactly,
me is like the worst way to ever watch a movie would
have
be
the
to
audience
go and have
singing
people
and
singing next to
oh
you.
God,
And
no.
uh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a musical fan personally.
that's like being at a concert
I
and
think it's just a guy
you're
thing. I
next to the
think guys
people
aren't
that want
into
to
it.
the guys, the people that want to sing along with the band, and I'm like, no, I didn't pay to hear you off key.
Exactly.
I want to hear that person.
Right.
Oh, I'm with you
Yeah.
totally,
When
100%.
we would have artists come into our studio all the time, and they would be one of the cool things we always did is bands would come in and we'd find a guitar and we'd be like, "You want to play?" And they're like, "You got a guitar?" We're like, "Yeah, we'll find one." We
Yeah.
grabbed a guitar and they would just jam, and our studio was like unplanned and wasn't supposed to happen. And our boss was like, "Here they go again." But we would have them in and I would sing along and he would say, "Stop. I want to hear them." He would say it
That's
to me all the
right.
time because I'd be singing along.
Yeah, we have a pretty good recording going, and then you suddenly hear harmony.
Oh, whatever, whatever. It's a good thing we're still friends. Which, you know what, we haven't even gotten into the topic
Oh
because
yeah.
this is a really big topic among women as of late. And I don't know if your wife is experiencing this, and I don't even know if like this is a dude thing, but right now, like most of my friends are in their 40s, late 30s, early 40s, and a lot of them are like having this new friendship thing going on, out with the old and trying to find new. And it's a matter of like women are deciding at this stage in their life, like prioritizing and getting rid of that friend because they no longer fit into that, desired pocket. Like maybe, they're not married and you're married and you have children and you can't relate any longer. And then just becomes a dead conversation. And so it's like, what
Mm.
am I holding on to this? We're never going to hang out. Like, and now women in their 40s are like, yeah, I got to cut this. It starts with the ghosting. Alan, do you encounter any of this in your therapy sessions?
I started to see this a little bit during the whole COVID thing, when people started to sort of unfriend certain friends based on things. But I am seeing it a lot even this year. I think people do want new friendships. I think it is, I don't want to say out with the old, in with the new, but I think people are starting to become a lot more insightful into who they are and whether a friendship is serving them or not, or whether it's even bringing out the best in them. And if you have a friendship that's just based on negativity of, talking
Mm.
back about other people, or maybe you have sort of a frenemy where they're just one-upping everything that you're doing. I think that
Oh,
you have to sort of look at the people in your life and think, are they supportive of me? And obviously, hopefully you're supportive of them too. But if they're not, it's a great topic because, I was even saying this to you, Hudson. I see this a lot for clients in Los Angeles, but I think probably for every big city. How do you meet friends as a 30 or 40-year-old, and make new friends? Because when you're in school, that's a great opportunity. You can talk to anyone, it's not weird. But when you're not in school and you're suddenly like in your 30s or 40s and you're not part of a group, what do you do to just walk up to a stranger and pick them up? Like almost like dating, like, oh, I'm gonna pick up a new male friend or a new female
That's
friend.
a weird thing. And especially because so many people over the last couple of years have moved. And that's why I brought this up because I have a couple of girlfriends right now that are experiencing this ghosting thing. And, obviously that friendship is, women, I think once you hit 40, you just, again, you prioritize, those relationships that you have things in common with. You can do things with couples and whatever. But again, when you move to a new city, how do you get these new friends?
Yeah.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
I never really thought about that. I'm glad you brought this up because I've never really tried to figure out why, but I think you get to different stages in life and you just kind of leave some people behind. Um, and then you also get to stages, I've told you I don't spend as much time on social media
Yeah.
because I find it kind of, I don't know, it just brings me down a little bit.
It's
And I
depressing.
think, as Alan said, there's certain friends that are that way too. Like, every time I go, we do a thing together, but then I don't feel great.
Yeah.
Like the conversation's not good. It's not uplifting. And so you just tend to, I never thought of it as in cutting someone off or ghosting, but you don't initiate as much. And then it just kind of goes away. So you can put a title to it, but really it's just, I think you know what you really need in life as you mature and you get a little older and you're like, I'm not getting it from that person.
Right. No, no. And that's it. And that's the thing. And again, think about this. You guys just moved. We've just moved. There's a lot of people where we live that have
Hmm.
just moved. and trying to navigate and find your people. Because for Alan and I, we love, Scotty, going out with other groups of people. Like we
Yeah.
always like being a part of a group and like having dinner, whether it's having people over and, having a little glass of wine, playing left, right, center, which is one of my favorite games, or card game, whatever it is, but being with other people and talking about life and experiences and, planning the next fun thing, whether it's, going out and hitting the beach and whatever it is. But it's very difficult in your 40s to make those new friendship and connections because it's weird to just go up to a random person you're in line, at the grocery store and you go, man, I like that shirt you got on. Like, would you ever say that to Alan in line? Like, hey, man, we should hang out sometime. Like, how would you go about it?
No, but that's a really, really, I think it's a different experience for men and women because dudes will tend, I think, to find things that you are naturally doing. Like maybe I meet someone, we get paired up on a golf course, we talk, and we're like, let's play again, and you pick it up there. I've been playing disc golf,
Disc
which is,
golf.
like
Is that
frisbee golf, disc
virtual?
golf. What?
Is it
No,
virtual?
it's a very big thing.
No,
It's
you go out with frisbees or discs. They're not really frisbees, but
What?
and you go out and you play a golf course. They have the little holes set up. I don't know.
Yeah.
We can't deter just to explain this to you, um, but the point is, you'll meet people in these situations and you just kind of pick it up and you go from there. But I had a friend I had met when we first moved here. I was doing the radio show with her, and
Cheater.
she, what's that?
I said cheater.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Cheating on me. I
but
won't
she would
forget.
go to things like for her dog or whatever, and then she was like, I think I might have found a friend. Like it was a big deal for her. Or they went out with our promotions director and one of my promotions director's friend befriended her. So how to build a friendship from zero
Yeah.
is really so there's apps and I can't remember the name of it, but there's ones where there's activities you can do and you put in I'm
Alan
interested.
came up with this idea so many years ago. This is the weirdest thing.
no,
We
well, look,
talked about this.
yeah, no, because it's funny because I mean, I think like this is a great topic and getting into the importance of friendships, the importance of having people with shared experiences. What do we value in friendships? Do we need support in them? But what she's talking about is this couples thing. A lot of times, it's like you can have a friend, but it's like, will the wife get along with your wife or the other way around? And
Right.
it's almost like dating in a sense because it's not easy to find couples friends where you both like both, if that makes sense. And I think, everyone who's listening to this probably understands exactly what I'm talking about on that. And so I came up with this idea probably like 20 years ago of this app that would be like a couples app to meet other couples that you could hang out with. But it just became something that
It
like you
sounds
could
so
never
weird,
do
doesn't it,
because it's so
Scotty?
dirty. It would just be like a couples dating app for swingers or
That's what it sounds like. And with like
because
zero
but it was
interest of that.
but it was meant to be, something because I know it's hard, for people to do it. It's even harder for men. I don't know if you guys ever saw that SNL sketch where the women take their partners to the dog park, but it's like a man park, and all the men are running around to meet each other because the women just want their man to have friends, and a lot of men
Yes.
become very devoted to their wives or their kids, and they just drop all their friends. So it makes women a little bit uncomfortable because they have friend groups even, after marriage and kids and they want, their husbands to have them too. And so it's a great topic because I do think it's not always easy to meet people that are like-minded. I actually had a session this week with someone where they just had a baby, and I was really encouraging them to because they had a toddler also to start to pair up with the dads at the preschool. Don't just get in your car after drop off and leave. Like linger for a few minutes in the parking lot. Start to talk to some of those guys because you may not think you have a lot in common with people. Maybe you guys look different, you're from different parts of the country, different interests. But if you're parents of a toddler, then at the very least you have that. And I think anybody who's the parent of a toddler, it's nice to have, whether it's female camaraderie or male camaraderie, another adult in the room so that your kid's having a great time, their kid's having a great time, and you're getting through it without, micromanaging or having to sort of helicopter parent. So I do think that it's kind of cool for men, especially when they have young children. It's a great opportunity to meet other male friends, whether that's through a religious organization preschool or, even a daycare or a sports thing. If you sign your kid up for soccer or baseball,
Hmm.
I always encourage men to talk to the men at those practices because if you can start to find some male friends, if your wife ever goes out of town or anything like that, it's nice to have
Yeah, you got something to do.
of what you're going to do with your kids when she's gone and how
You
you're
know,
going to be busy as opposed to just playing whack-a-mole at home.
yeah. Um, I think women, well, first of all, there was a comedian, I want to give him credit, but it was the scenario, not the bit that I liked. But he was talking about how his wife had become friends with this woman. So now he finds himself in the room alone with her husband,
Yes.
and they have nothing to talk about because the wives are friends.
Yep.
So that's awkward too. But if you find these life situations where you're both involved and you can both connect, that's pretty rare, I think.
I know the exact situation you're talking about, and I've lived it. I'm sure you have too. And in those situations, you just say to your wife, like, because usually the wife that your wife is friends with is cool. And
Yeah.
so you would prefer to stay in that conversation as opposed to being split off with the dude
To the dude they have nothing
that
in
you have
common
nothing in
with.
common with. And so it's just in those situations, it's like, let's just keep everything together. And that's like when couples should just have like a pregame meeting before the event and just say, okay, you're not just going outside to have glasses of wine with her and leaving me in the kitchen with him. Like we're all staying together. Whatever we're doing, it's like you're not going to leave me at the grill. We're all going to be by the grill. Like don't ditch me. And I feel like that's fair. But it isn't easy to meet
But
couple friends. And again, this is something that like I know when we moved, and to your point, Hudson, and I'll stop talking, is when
really,
when people are have been migrating these last few years, there's a lot of people out there. We all have our friends. We have our friends, that we've had for years, family
right.
friends, high school friends, college friends, the friends that we've built in California. And now we're in North Carolina and we're trying to make new friends. And how do I start to build out a guy group, or how does she start to build out a girl group? And I think that's kind of the topic at hand.
Yeah, that's it because again, we still have our friends back in, Hawaii and Los Angeles, you know what I mean, in New York. That's where our friends are primarily, located, but we can't go and hang out with them like, and do a Friday night like hang like so it's you have to figure out a way and that's why I thought, talking about this because again, I have so many friends right now who have just reevaluated all of their friendships. They've unfriended these people who don't fit into that group, and there they are now. They're 40 years old and they want to be able to go out with other people and do things. But how do you go about and make these friendships? That's the thing. You think without acting weird, like you want to be some kind of swinger, because that's the biggest thing for me. Like I don't want to be like hanging out and like, hey, we should do foursome thing and hang out. I don't want people to think the wrong thing. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a
Well,
weird.
it seems like having a bigger group takes some of that pressure away when you have, multiple couples joining up to go do something together. Then you have some of these natural people that you connect with and others that you don't, but you don't feel compelled to have to fill time with them,
Right.
if that makes sense. So maybe bigger groups might help.
Well, I
I
mean,
know I just recently had a guy move here. The guy I mentioned earlier, he suggested the hot toddy, and I they're closer in age to my son than to me.
okay.
But I was like, but he's kind of this guy that likes a lot of the stuff that I like, like
Yeah.
building stuff in the garage and doing sporty things. And I was like, I said, Jake, I think we need to be friends. I just kind of declared it. And I go, just something this feels like we need. So we just kind of said, we just kind of laughed at that awkwardness. And then we just started to kind of connect a little bit. So I
Yeah.
think you have to kind of put yourself out there and be willing.
No, is he married? Does he have a wife?
Yeah, he's married, has kids.
Okay. And so has Angie met the wife yet?
Oh yeah, they get along fine, and we've gone over, but we did it with other couples, and we've all just kind of been doing stuff together, and it
Okay,
takes the
that's
pressure
cool.
off.
So that's sort
Yeah.
of remember my dad, my dad. You remember this story. I know you know this story.
Oh, I immediately thought of that when you mentioned the app
Exactly. And
earlier.
I think that I have like such a trigger and I get so freaked out about it only because of the story. Alan, my parents, when they lived in New York City and I was little, they loved going to Jack in the Box for the tacos. And I loved them. I've loved them my whole life. And so they took me to go to this Jack in the Box, and they met this other couple that had a toddler as well, same age as me. And this is in Manhattan. And so they wind up having a bunch of things in common. They played tennis, they were into, various things. And so they invited my parents to come on over. And so, I mean, and they met at Jack in the Box. My parents were so thrilled. They're like, wow, there's another couple. They have a kid. This is great. You know how hard it is to meet people in New York City, right? And so they go over to their house. And my parents were a little weirded out. Not, because on the wall, as you remember, Scotty, all these naked photos of them all over their walls. They were hitting on my parents to be swingers. That's what happened. And my parents were so freaked out about it. Like the way the conversation was going, they like packed me up. All right, come on, Huds, we're out of here. We're going now. But that was an awkward thing, but that's what they were looking for. They weren't looking to hang out. You know what I mean? So I worry about that after hearing that from my parents because it happened to them, as crazy as that is. Scotty, you know the story. He's told it on air with us so many times.
Yeah.
Look, I think we've all had weird experiences like that with couples, and
Have you ever had a weird experience like that, Scotty? Like a couple hitting on you and Angie?
No, but I could see it happening, but I don't think about it. I don't immediately go there like you do. If someone said,
Because
let's
I
hang out
have
and have
trauma
dinner,
because of it. I listen. I
I'm
once
like,
had
I
to
wouldn't
be.
be going, what are you asking? You just want us to have dinner, but is there more expected?
But don't you guys think it's important to have like you mentioned this earlier, don't you think it's important to have commonality at a certain age in life? I think when you're younger, you can be fooled by distractions. We could like the same movies or TV shows or food. But as you start to get older, you're a little deeper as a person, whether it's the books you read, the TV shows you watch,
Oh
your
yeah.
experiences as a parent, your experience as a homeowner or business owner or whatever it is that you do. We're just in a different place. And so when we're around people, it's not a slight against a person who has a different life circumstance than you, but it is nice to have commonality. And I do feel, that was one of the first things for me that was important is I wanted to have some dad friends here because for men especially, it's a weird thing when you're a dad because you're doing a lot of little kid things that are not quote unquote manly, but at the same time, it's awesome, if that makes sense. Like I think anyone who's a father
Like, give
probably
us an example. Give us an example.
an example could just be like going to get ice cream or going to go to the movies and or going and getting candy at Five Below or things that like a normal adult man wouldn't go do. Or if you have a daughter, maybe you're getting your nails painted by her, or if you have, or your hair braided, or if you have a son, maybe you're going and you're taking him to the circus. So or monster truck show or something like that he's into. And so
Wrestling.
hypothetically, like, these are things that maybe as a single person you wouldn't do with other men, but with children, you might go to the circus or see Disney on Ice or do something along those lines. And or even go to like a pumpkin patch, and these things are fun sometimes in their own way. They're different than normal guy things, but I actually enjoy all of them, the things that I just said. And so if you have friends that are in the same circumstance, either their kids are around the same age as your kids, or even if within a couple of years, doesn't have to be perfect. They understand your life better. They understand what it's like to be you, the limitations. And sometimes if you have young kids, I've said to people before, it's like they're doing Costco runs. And if you want to see that friend and you want to align with them, then you're probably going to have to do a Costco run with them. And you guys can talk together while you do Costco together.
Yeah.
But people are busier when they have kids, and sometimes people who don't have children
But
understand that and they take things personally. So I think sometimes like having commonality, whether it's in our professional lives or our personal lives, single people versus married people, parents versus non-parents, even just East Coast versus West Coast, all of these things can be very big differences for people. And it's nice to have commonality in your friend group. And a lot of times people, are surprised at what you match up with. Because I know for me, when I think of all the friends that I've had, on the surface, people would probably wonder how we were friends, but it was life circumstance. We may have different jobs, we may look different, dress different, act different, but we all have some things in common. We all know what it's like to be a husband.
let me ask you this, Alan, because not everyone has children with young children. There are certain people who had children much younger, and they had an early start, and now their children are, 19, 20. You're not going to meet people with your kid. So how do you help somebody, a dude who's in his mid 40s, early 50s, to connect and make those connections for you and your wife's, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because
Well,
it's
let
it's
me
different.
jump in if you don't mind. I think one of the things that needs to change is our perception of what a friend is. When you're younger, you and don't have as responsibilities like we're talking about, you can spend quantity of time with people. You can just call someone and on the spur of the moment go do things. So it comes natural and easily to spend time with people.
Yep.
Right.
Then you get in these circumstances where you actually have to work around schedules. And there's something inside that says this is not as deep of a friendship because we have to schedule our time. What kind of friendship has to schedule time? We should just be hanging out. Well, you can't just hang out.
You
You have your
can't. You
family,
have so many
you have all these things.
If
responsibilities.
men are
But
doing
then,
that, they're in couples counseling with me because that's something that exactly that most wives are not cool with. And I think that's and I'm not just saying wives or husbands. There's a certain level of planning once you get to a certain level of adulthood.
yeah.
And you have to schedule things 3 weeks out. And it does sound weird, but everybody's plans get booked up. They get booked for a couples thing, then they're going to this family, event, and then they've got a kids' baseball game, or they've got so if you do want to see friends that are at that stage of life, it's about a 3 week, turnaround sometimes. And so I've often said to people, like, think of the names of the people in your life that you really like and just kind of make a list and try to assign yourself, at least during the week, one or two of them a week to either text or call on your way home from work and just say hi. Because I think when we water our friendships, we forget that they never really went away. It's just that we, like you said, you forget about them or you just sort of don't talk to them or ghost them. But when they hear from you, they're so happy. And so if you reach out to someone and you say, hey, I'm thinking about, let's say at the end of June, going to this place on a Saturday, you're giving them lead time to let their wife know, and their wife will be like, "Oh, yep, we're clear that day, and that's fine." And yeah, go make plans with him. And so he'll probably say yes, and it'll be a great time. And I'm not trying to say that people have to ask permission of their wives, but it's just respect. Because I think
Mm.
when you're in a relationship or you live with someone, you should be letting them know about what's going on with plans because you have to plan things together.
You
So
have to have communication. If you don't let your wife know that, hey, I'm going out with Scotty. Scotty's got some free time. We're gonna go and play some golf. Even though I've never played, I'm ready to give it a go. I want to give it a
yeah.
try.
Like she shouldn't
Uh,
be possessive and she shouldn't be jealous. And I,
right.
I think sometimes I see that in marriages and relationships where they don't leave each other ever. They never go and do guy things or girl things or couples things. It's always just the two of them together. And I think that there's something sort of sad about the fact that a person is jealous if their
Yeah.
partner goes out with a friend or goes and does something with somebody else. Because I think that that's healthy. I think that you bring new experiences back into your relationship when you do stuff
Yep.
like that. And people who just stay with their partner all the time, to me, it's like, how do you expose yourself to new
I
things?
like when Ellen goes and hangs with
Mm.
the guys. I'm totally great with it. I
It's
would,
like being locked in during COVID with each other the whole
Yeah.
time, and you
oh
don't have
God.
any you don't have any separate experiences and
Nope.
things to share with each other. Excuse me, I get in these
Maybe
coughing
you need
fits.
another shot of the a little hot toddy
Yeah, I
action.
might have to have a little hot toddy. But I was going to say, I think, with my wife, one of the things that has, I think, really helped us in our relationship is the fact that she also was athletic. So she understands that need for me to go get that testosterone going and go out and be competitive. And of course, what that means has changed over time. It used to be pick up basketball games and football and things, and now it's more golf and disc golf and
Yeah.
something a little
But
less.
you still love sporting, events and things like that and being
Yeah.
active,
And,
whatever it
and
is.
being out with my friends, she knows that's good for me. And I come back and well,
Feeling
unless I had
good.
a rotten day on the golf course, I come back generally feeling better. And I don't have as much energy. A lot of that is spent and I can relax and it's nice.
And I
Yeah.
also think sometimes it's like we personalize our lives a lot. And when you're out with other people, women or hanging out with women or men hanging out with men, they hear stories about the other person's husband or the other person's wives, and they start to see commonality in their own circumstance. And it's not that it makes it okay or that you don't want to change it or the things that annoy you, but you start to realize that it's not as personal. that some of these things are more typical of all couples, and that you don't need to get into these conflicts with your partner over it, or you can handle it a different way. And maybe, a friend can tell you, oh yeah, we had a conversation about it and this is how we did it. But I do think that when you're around other couples, you start to see what's normal and what's not, because you can't just use TV or movies as a measuring stick. That's not normal.
No. But I think also a great way, I know you're going to say something, but I think another way, and I know Scotty will absolutely agree, because as long as I've known Scotty, he has been a part of his church. And I think a great way for people to, if they do move and they do move to a new community, to get involved, whether it's your church, your synagogue, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
that's another great way for you to meet people,
I, I and I think as well, when you're with other people, how you relate to each other as a couple is very impactful, not just for the other couple, but for you and your relationship. If you spend time and talk about the things you appreciate about your wife, if you say, hey, this really, Angie just did this, and it was so awesome. You say these things, and she knows that's how you speak about her when you're with other people.
agree.
And then I went on, and I'll tell you this personal story. I went on a golf trip to Kauai when we were living in Hawaii. So me and some guys flew over, and one of the things the two guys I was with kept talking about bad stuff about their wife, or they
Ugh.
would say things about other women, and they're like, don't you feel, I'm like, no, I don't feel that way at all. I'm 100% happy with my relationship and we work
Yeah.
through whatever we have. Like I couldn't stand hearing this tearing down of the significant other with those guys. It just really bothered me. And I know one of them's divorced now. I don't know the other one, but,
Well, what do you
but
think? Why do you think? You know what I mean?
yeah, my
Yeah,
point is, who are you when you're with your friends, And I want
yeah,
my wife to know that's who I am.
right.
And when, and she may know something about these other people you're hanging out with, and if they're a negative influence, I will tend to cut those people out of my regular rotation because it's just not a good place for me to be. I don't want to be around that.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be around that either. You know what I mean? Like, and I have a couple of friends that just go on when they're having a situation, and and Alan will tell you, I can't listen to it. I just can't listen to the negativity, and it's just not a
Yeah.
part of
I mean,
me. And
even
where,
with you guys, getting to know Alan has been great, and I've done it from afar, and I'm getting to know him more on the podcast. But the way you speak about him when you talk to me about him says a lot about your relationship, and it's very positive,
yeah,
and it's hopeful, and it's full of trust, and
yeah,
that's the way relationships
that's
should be.
Oh, well, look, I don't think people should be trashing their spouses, period. And I don't do that with Hudson, and she doesn't do that with me. And I'm appreciative of that because I think we do appreciate each other. So I'm definitely a
Alan
big
always speaks so highly of me, no matter what it is.
anyone,
It's
and I'm not
at
saying
any
that for,
time.
yeah, there's no reason to say anything bad, but I do understand that sometimes the way men are and the way women are is different and sometimes similar. And there's a good way to sort of build something out, and I've started doing it here, is a guy group chat. You meet one person who kind of knows another person, you add two of them onto it, then three of them onto it, then four of them onto it. And in the beginning, it's just to make plans, but then people start to share funny memes or they make funny statements and it's not trashing their wives. It's just being goofballs and idiots. Or I remember on one of these group chats, and I don't want to get in trouble or anything like that, but there was like at our preschool that we were going to, it was some of the dads I had met over there. And suddenly we found out that one of the moms at the preschool was a porn star. And I guess we didn't know that. And so all the dads would like linger in the parking lot, not to do anything, but just to sort of see who we were talking about. And some of them were like looking up her videos and sending it in the guy group chat.
Oh,
And again, it's not meant to be disrespectful to their wives, but sometimes men can be very adolescent, if that makes sense. And so, and women too, trust me, I've seen some female group chats that go pretty far. So is it okay if your wife has a group chat with her friends or your husband has a group chat with his friends that it be private? And again, that doesn't mean that there's cheating or anything nefarious going on, but is it okay sometimes to be a little bit blue or to be a little bit politically incorrect or to say stupid things, not about your partner, but just about life? and is it fair that your wife suddenly looks at you and now hates your friend because they thought they were saying it just to their three or four guy friends as a joke, and now she thinks he's a certain type of person, if that makes sense. So
Hmm.
I've always told people respect the group chat, don't go into people's group chats and start spying on what their friends are saying. Hopefully people aren't trashing their wives, they're being respectful.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I think if there's things that you wouldn't talk about out loud, putting it on some sort of text makes it somehow even worse
Yeah.
because
I'm not really seeing
out
this.
loud is like
Oh,
it's a
but
fleeting moment. When you put it on a text, then it's there forever, and you have to make those decisions like, is this what I want everyone to see about me?
I mean, the
Now I
hope is
get
that nobody would see it, that only the three or four men or the three or four women would. So if somebody wants to post
But
something,
don't you think the wives, if they got a glimpse of that text of you guys, I mean, standing around after school just to get a glimpse of the mom who is a who's a porn star, like, don't you think that that would make the wives a little uncomfortable, that conversation?
oh, she made the wives were obsessed with her too. I mean, the whole school was up in arms about this mom. And actually, I think the men handled it, but weren't doing anything crazy about it. They were just more like a bunch of nerdy, kind of gawky dads just looking at this person being like, "Oh my God, a porn star." But it was the wives actually that treated her the most horribly. They actually asked, like she had a daughter, I remember in one of the classes, and all the moms turned on her and they were mean girls towards her. She had no friends. And I think she eventually had to leave the temple because of the women, but it was more of a curiosity, and it wasn't really a moral thing that the men are into porn or they're into her. It was more just isn't that weird that there's a mom at our preschool that is doing, crazy porno movies, and we just thought that was funny as
let's
men.
bring it back from because there was part of what you said that I kind of get, where guys will joke differently or talk differently around other dudes.
Yeah.
If you cut out the example you gave, okay,
Yeah,
um,
let's cut that
where
out. That's like, wow, Alan.
where you'll be a little edgier or you'll be a little more negative, like you trash talk each other, you kind of razz on somebody's something. And then it's in good fun as long as everyone's having good fun. Whereas women might, as Hudson's described on the show before here, might take it a different way. Like, does she really mean that? Why would she joke like that? It's got to be some truth. And there's whatever. Guys will just go, ha ha, good one.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's that simple. I think usually these things don't provoke much thought. It's just a funny video that somebody found online or on Facebook.
But women, they see that, they're like, what else? If they think
No,
women
I
go
understand,
down
and I
those
think
paths.
I've had many a conversation with women to calm them down because there's a difference between your partner being a bad man or a cheater or someone who's got wandering eyes and someone who's just a guy who jokes around with his friends and again would never do anything bad, is a great dad, is a great husband, respects his wife. And I don't see that doing some things is beyond, there is a line you can obviously cross, and I think every couple should talk about that. That if you're posting naked pictures of women or people that you know or something on a group chat, then yeah, that's offensive. And I can understand a lot of wives or girlfriends not cool with that. But I do think that people tell off-color jokes, they say things that are politically incorrect, and it doesn't go anywhere because it's supposed to be private. That's the thing. The only reason that people say those things in a girl group chat or a male group chat, because again, women can do the same thing.
But it's
There's
here.
women group
Let's
chats that
let's
they
just go
get
back
really
here. Hold
sexual. They
on.
get real. This is not just a male thing. Women get very sexual in their group chats too.
Eh,
Oh
but
yeah,
here's the
showing
thing.
naked pictures of men with their six packs, and you don't think that women are sitting there admiring men or different types of like when Thor came out. I remember every woman in America was so obsessed with that actor who played Thor. That is
Chris
that
Hemsworth.
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth, exactly. I mean, so if they are putting group chats of him and his chest and all that, does that make them all bad people?
I, I don't know, but to go back, just to go back, I didn't forget about this because only a week ago we talked about how women can create things, okay, out of nothing. It's one of our greatest superpowers. So here's an innocent text conversation between you and Scotty and Jay and Bob. I'm making names up, but I'm just saying, and you're all talking about the porn star mom, and oh, there's Rick. He's still standing in the parking lot, even though you're joking about it. But the joke really is Rick is really still in the parking lot. Okay. And why is Rick still in the
It's
parking
taking a
lot?
very long time to
School
get into
got
the
out
car.
20 minutes ago.
He can't find his
And
keys.
his little kid Rick is sitting in the car with the windows down, sweating. So I'm really
You're
giving myself
laughing because you know it's
a
funny.
visual.
You know it's funny. There's none of these
Okay,
men
it
we're going to be
is.
hooking up with a porn
But
star.
what's
Nothing is
funnier
going on.
is that I could literally take a look at that conversation
Yeah.
and go, hey, Sue, your husband, Rick, he
Mhm.
stayed after school for 20 minutes just to see the porn mom again. Left Rick in the car, didn't even put the windows down. I'm surprised somebody didn't call the police and break the window because he was out there.
You
You know,
know that if
but we
that
could create
happened,
something from that. So
if that
whatever you put
happened,
in that little text message, all that's what I'm going back to last week's podcast.
yeah, all I'm saying to you is that if that man is showing his wife that group text and getting Rick in trouble, then he's probably out of the group text.
But this is
Because at the end of the
it's not
day,
that she's
the
showing
goal
him.
is nobody's doing anything wrong. It's just guys messing around with each other
Okay,
and
but
getting
hold on, Alan, let me
again,
finish.
if you go in a direction where you're showing your wife and now the guy's getting in trouble, then it's not really a confidential group text anymore. It's like breaking the protocol of being part of a therapeutic group and then telling people what you talk about.
Okay,
That's
but let's just go back to this. One of the things we talked about, am I right, Scotty? If your wife has full access to your phone and she looks at that little message because she can, because you have nothing to hide, and she reads that, Rick, 30 minutes
okay.
later, still in the parking lot, beads of sweat.
But you know what? There's a difference between your wife, like again, there's boundaries. And so just because your wife or your husband may have access to your phone or computer or whatever, do you believe both of you that they should be scrolling and stalking their partners and looking at all the different chats they have and looking unless you're believing there's infidelity or something, what possible reason would you have to try to invade your partner's like privacy?
I'm just saying.
Again, and we're not talking about disloyalty. I'm just saying when I tell people about those group chats as a counselor, I'm expecting that the wives will not go and violate the trust of their husbands by going into those group chats, and the husbands won't do the same with their wife because this is not like a secret chat with a new partner or someone having an emotional affair. This is just a bunch of 40-year-old dads messing around or a bunch of 40
Scotty's got something to say. Go, Scotty.
crazy. Nobody should be going into those chats. Yeah, Scotty.
So first of all, can you please let little Ricky out of the car?
I
So
know.
concerned.
He's sweating.
It's a sweat.
He's really sweating and he can't find those keys.
Secondly, I never thought of a group chat as a protected interaction
Right,
between
neither did I.
therapy.
Yeah.
I guess this is a bro code thing. Is that what we're kind of basically
Is that what
saying?
that is, Alan? A bro
I guess
code?
I'm the only one of the three of us who sees it that way, but that's how I see it. I think that it's sort of like a private space for people to just say funny things, share stupid things they saw that their wives would maybe think are immature or inappropriate. It's just
Fart
a way for us to
jokes.
all be a little bit childish, like let our man child come out and be stupid and like kind of think about Adam Sandler for a second, like our inner Adam Sandler. Let it come out, we can be stupid. We can laugh at ridiculous, things like
I,
the Billy Madison stuff.
I
And
get what you're saying, Alan, but I will tell you this. We've said this on the radio before back in the day, back when technology started to become a thing. Once you put it out there, you can never bring it back. So I always gauge things on what if someone down the road ever got a hold of this? Should I ever say this or type this in an email or send this in a text? That's just the filter I use. So I'm not trying to
What's funny
judge. I'm
about that,
just saying
can
I
I
would
say,
be careful.
Scotty, can I just say something to that before you go, Hudson?
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying is that I encourage couples, especially during conflict, do not text each other, do not send emails to each other, even if you think you sound nice, even if you think you're saying it respectfully, you're probably not. And you are putting something in print that a person could slam in your face in 2 months and say, you're the one who said blank. So I agree, it is evidence. But I also feel like we have to be careful in our careers. We have to be careful around our kids. We have to be careful around our wives. There's so many times in life around our parents that we have to be careful in society. Shouldn't there be a place where men or women can just be stupid? Where they can just, it's almost like a comedy. Like I always thought that comedy shows were the one place where they could say something where everybody's laughing, and then right after they're laughing, they're like, "Oh no, you shouldn't have said that," or "Too soon." But where we feel a little uncomfortable, on purpose. And when people became really safe because we don't want to offend anybody and everything should be read by anybody, isn't life going to be boring? So I do
Well,
think it's for
well, let
men
me
to
tell you,
have
in
funny shows.
principle, I agree. I think in practical sense, somebody is going to be running for office. Someone is going to be in a conflict with another person who knows that person, and there's some way that that thing might resurface, is all I'm saying. So I'm playing the long game, and
Well, I'm assuming that things are done in good humor, that where people aren't
yeah,
using it as an outlet to say, misogynistic or racist things, or, I mean, if you're saying things that are so outside the realm of what's decent, that's a different story of whether
you
you
know,
can be friends with someone like that. But I'm just talking about more just the dumb things, like a funny meme, where it's like, I don't know if you guys have seen that Katy Perry thing. It keeps showing up in my Facebook, but because Katy Perry went up in space and she referred to herself as an astronaut. So
yeah,
there's all these memes now, like Katy Perry did this one time. Now she thinks she's a chef. Katy Perry did this. Now she's an Uber driver. And it's like,
right.
and they just keep putting Katy Perry's face on all of these funny things. It's hysterical. But again, would women find it as funny? Maybe they would. Some women I know would, but some women might say that's just juvenile or adolescent, or they roll their eyes and think like, what kind of husband do I have? You're a grown up,
See,
like,
that's my filter says that's fine. See, I have an internal filter, and
He
but
does.
when you call out a guy and the porn thing,
oh, that's
and he
okay. That's different
on
because he's sort of emotionally maybe even contemplating cheating on his wife or something. If you're
yeah,
talking about the guy who's
Are
like
you talking about the guy
the
with
guy
Ricky?
Rick who's
sweating in the
left his
car,
kid in the
Rick, with
car,
his kid
Rick, he
sweating in the
left Rick in
car.
the car with the
little Ricky.
sweat
Yeah, little
going down
Ricky.
his face.
That's
He's waiting
different.
for the porn chick to come out.
But is it okay sometimes just to have a funny, stupid meme or to make fun of, some actor or musician or something that's going on that maybe isn't in the best taste, but at the same time it's funny? And I think a lot of times that's what I loved about going to comedy clubs was that they can make you feel a little uncomfortable. And when your friends can make you feel a little uncomfortable, and again, this is not racism we're talking about. This is not sexism we're talking about. This is not any kind of bigotry because I wouldn't tolerate that in any of my friends. We're just talking about silly, ridiculous man-child things that would probably make our girlfriends or wives roll their eyes, but we can say them to each other and we think it's funny.
Let's see
Well,
how.
yes, I think there should be that,
Yeah.
but you have to put it through your own filter and feel good in your in
No,
your own
you would
It's
conscience.
hope
who
that if
you
your
are.
wife
Yeah.
ever did look at it, then she wouldn't. But again, I want to protect my friends too, because I'm not concerned about anything that I would say in a group chat. But I also understand that sometimes a person goes across the line a little too much and they just are kind of running away with the joke. And I wouldn't think it's fair out of context to show our partner that and then have it go back to their wife when that wasn't really what they meant.
Right.
Because it's just some people kind of get going with something and the next thing you know, they amp it to 100 and before you know it they've taken it way out of the realm that it started in, but it's still part of the joke. It was just poor taste on their part, but I wouldn't start showing people's wives things and getting them in trouble in their marriages. I do think it's healthy to have an outlet, and I think that's coming back to the friendship part of it, is whether it's in a group chat or just in real life, we have to have sounding boards as adults in our 40s. And that's kind of how this whole topic started, is that we don't want to just have only the original friends that we had because we've grown apart from them. Maybe they were work friends and we just have nothing else in common, or maybe they were mom friends and we have nothing else in common now that the kids have grown up. So we do have to sometimes clean house and find new interests. And, there's a woman in our neighborhood actually who just started a really cool book club for women in their 40s, which I think
Yeah,
is a
it's cool.
fantastic way for women to meet people. And I saw there's an ad for this hiking thing that people were trying to promote. And if they can get 20 guys to show up and go hiking, you'll meet people that way. So I think sometimes
Oh,
finding these activities and when you see them in your local publications, show up for them. Just go and be open to talking to people if they talk to you.
Some good, I mean, this is some good stuff we're talking about here. I like having a therapist on board with us, Scotty.
I like that we don't let each other off the hook as well. I mean, if we're going to talk, let's talk. Let's
Yeah.
if we disagree, we disagree. We're not here to just
Nope.
I don't know, pat each other on the back.
No,
Um,
that's
but
what's great about this podcast. We
yeah,
each speak our mind and how we feel. Just like I'm still not 100% about the private chat about the porn star with little Rick sweating his balls off in the damn car because his dad's waiting in the parking lot for a glimpse of her.
Try to
You
take
know,
a
just
selfie with her in the
yeah.
background to then post it on the mail group chat. Just,
Oh
that's
my
right.
God,
just to
there's a
get a
shot,
laugh.
and then
Just to get a
zoomed
laugh.
in and then put it on loop. So, baby got back.
No, I remember it was
I like
there was
it.
sometimes like a stupid
Get that
thing
back.
where it was like some weird like ridiculous like picture that had shown up somewhere and it's like and you have like a friend in the group chat who out of nowhere you're all having a serious conversation throws that picture in just to crack everybody up. So again, I'm just saying to Hudson, it's
Uh-huh.
okay for me to have a group chat. I'm not, I'm encouraging you to not read it. But at the same time, if you choose to read it, I'm fine with it. But if you choose to read it and hold anything against me or against my friends or go to their wives, then you won't have access to my phone anymore. Because to me, that's a violation. And I don't know
Oh my God.
I'm just
That's a
saying, like,
violation.
to me, if you take one of my friends who makes an off-color joke and then screenshot that and show it to his wife, and now my friend is suddenly deep in it because of you, then how is that going to make me feel? Because he didn't do anything really wrong. It's just an overreaction. And I think it's okay for us to be
But
stupid.
again, like
We are,
Scott said, you gotta remember what you're putting out there.
but we are serious
Feel
as
good
adults.
about it.
But we're serious as adults all the time. Can't a bunch of old nerdy dads joke about the fact that there's a porn star at the preschool? And does that mean that they're going to actually all hit on the porn star or try to hang out with the porn star? It's just a bunch of nerdy old dads
Maybe their dads are
I,
gonna
I
set up
think
some play
and
dates.
I
joking
think
about it.
we've talked enough about this, but I am interested. Sorry about my coughing. Go, go, go.
Go get
Um,
hit some of that.
but I think this would be a great time to just kind of open it up for the chat. If you have a comment to make,
Oh
either
yeah.
side of this, I want to hear what people feel about this because I'm sure people are passionately saying yes to Alan and to you and to me. I maybe somebody to me, I don't know, but yeah, let us know. I mean, wherever you're accessing this, if there's a way to
Yeah,
type in
we're
your
on
thoughts.
YouTube. If you're watching, we're on YouTube. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Apple Music.
Yeah, even if you
Uh,
listen to us on just the audio, go to the YouTube channel and
leave
type
that
in
comment
your
because we
thoughts
get it. We
there.
respond.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's that
This is
that would
this
be
is a
very
good
cool.
podcast because it's really true. Like, and maybe you're only in your 30s right now, but you'll see as you start to get into, as Alan likes to say in his therapy, is like your second stage in life. Okay. That first stage, you're trying to figure stuff out. Your second stage, which is the hardest, right, Alan? The second stage is the
Structural. Oh,
what?
it's structural. It's taking care of kids, it's taking care of a marriage, it's taking care of a house, it's taking care of your career, it's
And
taking care of bills, doing
trying to find
taxes.
commonality within other people so that you can
But
develop these friendships.
but
And I
it's
think that this was a great episode because I believe there, that everyone experiences this, whether you move, you just get older, you start changing your friendships. And I think there's some good information to be had in this podcast. I do want to give a shout out to Bayon, Kevin Bayon, and this dude, I think, lives in Colorado. It looks like every photo is from Colorado, but he was first in story, and it's something that we like to do on the podcast. Kevin Bayonne on Instagram. I want to thank you for being first in our story. Again, we're also on Instagram, Mike and Mine Podcast, spelled MIC. Has a dog. Looks like he does a lot of outdoorsy stuff, and he likes concerts. He was at the last concert was at Kings of Leon. So
I like that you stalk them rather than share what they said about us. Just let me tell you about his personal life.
Well, I did sort of I do. Well, I want to make sure I give them a really good, shout out on our
Yes,
podcast. Again, another friend. They found us. Now you're going to find him, Kevin Bayonne. All right.
gotcha.
Nice guy. Nice guy. Again, thank you for liking. You got to subscribe. And even if you don't like us, just hit like and subscribe. That's it.
It's like giving to charity.
Yeah.
Just give us a little something.
It's not going to cost you anything, but it does help us out. What it really does help us out with, it helps out when people search us
Yeah,
on
visibility.
various, platforms. Because if you just give it a like and a subscribe, it just changes, I guess, our algorithm. Again, this is all new for us. We're broadcasters. We're used to being on the radio. Alan's used to just doing therapy. So this is a whole new animal for us, and we're glad you're here. And again, leave comments. Today's episode was a great episode. And if, whose side are you on there?
And it's
Alan's?
brought to you by Joaquin's Rock Rye,
He's gonna go have a hot
for
toddy.
all your toddy needs.
Yeah. Mike in mind. I'm Hudson Hot, Scotty Blaisdell, Alan Wagner, LMFT. Peace in the chicken grease. Thanks for hanging out.
See ya.